Good evening, folks. Thank you for coming back to another Tony Montana video. Tonight we are going to have a nice conversation, a little bit of getting into some topic that maybe there's a lot of people that would like more information about, more clarification on the topic. So here I am making that video. Some people had seen a video from another person that, again, I'm not going to name tonight. We're going to keep it, about the topic and leave other people out of it. The topic tonight is, where did the blue in all these cousins of the American Pitbull Terriers, and I'm talking about cousins that basically all came from the same origin, but as you know or should know, the true the true American Pitbull Terrier, depending, you could just say the genuine or true Pitbull Terrier, because there is only one breed should be called Pitbull, which is the American Pitbull Terrier. But as you know, that we have a lot of misinformation out there, and we have a lot of dogs being called American Pitbull Terriers, or rather being called Pitbull or Pitbull types, which really, that's just the way of them killing the breed left and right. Anyway, where did the blue in the origin of the American Pitbull Terrier come from? If the American Pitbull Terrier doesn't have blue, why do these descendants, I guess the cousins, the AKC American Staffordshire Terrier or the UKC American Pitbull Terrier, if they have blue, where did it come from? Well, you have to think about going back to when all these were one breed, or all these were being developed. Not one breed, where when they were being developed into breeds. Okay, let's clarify that. That was a hiccup in my words. So these dogs were, at the time that I'm going to say maybe 1800s, late 1800s, these breeds were being created. So they weren't breeds at the time. So in the late 1800s, there were different dogs being bred to each other, different breeds being bred to each other for the same purpose. And at that time, okay, and this is when we're not condoning any illegal activity that we have today. We are not condoning any savagery that could be done to animals today. We're talking about historical facts. Obviously, historical means facts, but the data that we are using is viable for the conversation. So what I'm saying here is that at that time, these dogs were not yet a breed, like in many instances. So there were being different type of fighting dogs, or dogs that seem to be good at that fighting idea of the 1800s. That's when these the genetic makeup of these dogs was more diverse, was the unknowns were more than now, obviously. But I'm basically saying that when they were putting dogs together into these matches, that these dogs were looking for, they looked different ways. They looked, all kinds of, different colorations, spots, sizes, or different, looks to them physically, like facial or body type, because the owner, the person that was bringing them into this arena of different types, and again, it also mattered the rules that we're using for this work, which is what at this point we're talking about 1800, late 1800. We're talking about dog on dog fighting. So on a dog-on-dog fighting in the 1800s, these animals had different. They were, in many ways, they were what we consider now mutts. Okay, they were mutts because they were bringing dogs from just to have the same habits, same interests. The dogs, when we have it's in this context, we're talking about dog on dog altercation. They were quick to fight. They were these dogs of different type of genetic makeup came, and they like to fight. They enjoy it, and they stay on it for a certain amount of time. And so these individuals at that time were bringing them together, and that means obviously the English old English bulldog that was used in England with some white terrier and other type of terriers back then to bring that dog into the Americas, and the Irish and the Scottish brought their dogs into the Americas. They had their own different mix to their ideas of what a fighting dog should be. And they came here to the Americas in the 1800s, and here they were showing each other up. Obviously, each race, each cultural group, and because I'm talking about the English, the Irish, the Scottish, and obviously later on more other countries, and perhaps there were other countries with different dogs, but the predominant, the stronger dogs were coming from these three countries. So these dogs had their own, mix to them. And then obviously you had people believing that, feeling that the bull terrier, for example, was a great one to have because it's a terrier. You obviously remember the terriers are the dogs that are more inclined to fight other dogs. They have that interest, and that's why they used them from the beginning. So anyway, in the 1800s, late 1800s, let's speed up this because that's 7 minutes. In the 1800s, beginning of 1900s, the people began to have different ideas on what to do with the dogs they had then, which were at that time fighting dogs. Okay, so the AKC said, okay, we'll give you a permission to be in a registry, but you have to change your name to the American Staffordshire Terrier, Staffordshire being a place in England, and said, but you cannot, or we will not register any red-nosed dogs. The red-nosed dogs at that time were recognized as Irish dogs. You remember that there was a big, for a long time, there has been a big feud between Ireland and England. So you can see the connection why it once said, so the AKC said no red-nosed dogs, which were the what we call now the old family red-nosed dogs. So the old family red-nosed dogs were not allowed to come into the AKC. Now, but now the UKC, which actually accepted the American People Terrier first, because he jumped a little gun. I believe the UKC accepted them first. They say yes, you could bring them in, but we would have to make some sort of concessions and have you. I think it was J.B. Colby that was one of the advisors of the UKC, because he was a proponent for these dogs to be accepted into the UKC. So he was able to have one of his dogs be the standard for the UKC. I believe the name of the dog was Colby's Primo. I may be wrong, but Colby's Primo was just used as the physical standard for the UKC American People Terrier. And you have to remember that the UKC, the Colby, for the most part, had dogs that came from England, okay, and other parts. So now the ADBA has their own standard, was created, and has their own standard. Now you have to think of each of these AKC, UKC, and ADBA as different filters. Now we're still in the, let's say, early 1900s. Okay, we're still in the early 1900s, but now the same dog. Think about that same dog being in the 1900s, all held in different standards: AKC, UKC, and ADBA. Now, each organization had a determining factors of how a future dog will be accepted, and not each organization, but each people in each people in each registry will have to think about how they would continue to further that breed, or further the breed that they are starting from that point on. And obviously, a lot of the AKC and the UKC have ended up looking very similar to each other. Why? Because they were looking for more of a visual enjoyment, visual belief, that they felt that more muscular. Again, at that time, they were, they felt that a bigger, stronger looking dog was a better ideal of a working dog of that breed, or that breed they were creating. Now the ADBA in its stead basically decided to have the dog be more athletic, more lean, and more full of energy, because they were focusing on other traits of a dog, or traits that enhance one thing more than others. Now, why am I saying all this and still haven't said anything about the blue dogs? Well, I'm explaining to you the criteria of each registry, or the people behind those registries, or the people that the community around it, because really the community around it is really what pushes the standards. The community meaning the people doing things, working with the dogs. So now, I already explained to you that at that point, these dogs were not genetically pure as a breed, so they had a lot of ifs. Let's call it the different genetic changes that what you could have when one dog would born black, and the brother could be red. Another dog would be brindle with spot. Different things. No. Also, maybe a blue and maybe a tri-colored dog, all in the same litter, because the genetic in these dogs were so diverse that you could get a lot of things. Now, and these color diversions also means that the dogs can also have a connection in temperament. Okay, and also you have to remember that some sort of genes trigger different type of reaction. So anyway, let's continue on. The different requirements, the different work requirements of each registration was basically pushing out and pushing in different genetic influences from the different breeds that they had, or different dogs that they had that were mixing into the genetic pool of that particular dog. For example, this one, or before that. So at that prior to that, remember, there were dogs that were blue. that this is before the American Pitbull Terrier was created, that were used, bred into the mix. So the gene pool of the dogs back then had blue in them, before the breed was created. And then once the dogs were put into different standards, some standards, the requirements, the working requirements that they had, pushed away that coloration, because it didn't work. It didn't work enough. It wasn't adding to the breed as it was being created through its work. So genetically speaking, it was pushed out. So by the time that the breed was created, or by the time, a little after, because sometimes you still have throwbacks. So they were genetically pushed out, removed from the genetic makeup of the breed that was created by work, by the standard that was work. So again, this standard is going to continue to change, obviously depending on what the standard of the organization evaluating is or will be. But the blue really was part of the mixture that the blue pole, for example, that people like to talk about. That blue pole was part of the mixture, and all the type of terriers that have that blue coloration were part of the mixture. Because why? Maybe because of the size, maybe because of a lot of times the size, the power, or the temperament that perhaps at the time thought it was enough. Then once again, all that I just mentioned about different type of blue terriers, blue breeds, including the blue terrier, were put into had that genetic into the first dog that eventually became 3 different dogs because of the registries, the expectation of each registry, and then pushed down. So the ADBA wanted more of a lean dog, more of an athletic dog, more of a unrelenting dog, and some other standards like AKC, UKC wanted more of a bulkier dog, stronger dog, more amazing looking dog. So perhaps the genetic influence that they triggered were from other breeds that the ADBA standard pushed away. So that's why the ADBA, American Pitbull Terrier, does not have blue in them. Because at the beginning of its breed, the creation of the breed, as per the ADBA standard, that blue, or the influence of the blue coloration, was pushed out because it did not work enough. It did not cut, the dogs that had enough for that, or dogs that had influence from that, did not make the cut. So they were not bred. So that DNA was pushed out from the pool. Okay, I think that's enough of the Stafford blue dog, or the American Staffordshire Terrier. This is basically why the American Pitbull Terrier does not have blue, and that is the reason why the American Pitbull Terrier, as per the UKC, and the American Staffordshire Terrier, as per the AKC, has blue dogs and not the ADBA American Pitbull Terrier. Okay, so do like this, subscribe, and I hope you understand. Basically, I try to be as clear as possible. If you have any questions, make a comment, and I'll see you on the next video.